Hi, this is Peaches from AuntPeaches.com. Today is going to be a crafty hangout with CraftyHangouts.com and sponsored by Consumer Crafts. Today is a project we're going to be making picture frames, but it's inspired by these. I don't know if you've ever seen this. This is a souvenir I got in New Orleans a number of years ago, but it's aluminum. It's like a tin type kind of a thing. I think they punch it out of tin and then they color it with like alcohol inks, and I think it's a traditional Mexican folk craft, but I thought it might be kind of fun to use today. So here we go. That's my very elegant camera move. You like that? Okay, it's my first hangout. I'm a little nervous. All right, so materials. You're going to need some sort of picture frame. I like these really plain wooden kind of picture frames, but you can use whatever you want. Let me adjust this ever so slightly. Okay, just a plain wooden picture frame. Hot glue gun. Mine is old. I could, Consumer Crafts sells lovely new ones, but you know what? Finding a glue gun that works really well is a treasure. So I don't care if mine is ugly. It works beautifully. So that's what you need, one that works really well. Here's the secret ingredient, aluminum duct tape. It is not duct tape, which is also a lovely product, but that's not what we need today. It's a duct tape. This is a very thin piece of aluminum, and it has a real sticky backing. I don't know if you can hear that. It's sticky. And then it has this, regular, looks like what you'd find on the back of a sticker or something like that. So this is about $5 a roll. You can find this in any hardware store. I have seen it in some craft stores. I think some folks are catching on, but you will definitely find it in the hardware store in the plumbing section. It's called duct tape because it's actually used to bind the seams of ductwork, like like heating elements and things, all the pipes that bring hot air from like a furnace or things like that. This is what they use to cover the seams. So you might even have some in your house and you just don't even know. And then we need permanent markers in all kinds of colors. You will find variety packs aplenty available all over the place. You do not have to use Sharpie, but it needs to be permanent. This will not work if you use a water-based marker. I really like the Sharpies because of the tips on them, and you'll see why that comes in handy when we get a little bit further in the craft. But for now, just use permanent markers. If you've got something on hand, that's fine too. So let's get started. For demonstration purposes, I'm actually going to demo this on a mat. Pretend this is a picture frame, but you could also do it to a mat. But I realized that the hot glue isn't going to show up that well on camera, so I wanted to demo this where it's perfectly clear. So I made circles with a pen, no particular pattern, just lots of circles. And then you go in, just trace over them with your hot glue. Now, you could just freehand this, and to be perfectly honest, that's totally what I did. But for demonstration purposes, I'm supposed to make this as easy as possible. So all you're doing is tracing over all these little circles, and then you cover the whole thing. Now, you don't have to use hot glue if you're working with little kids and stuff and you don't like the idea of them, touching this very hot gizmo. That's perfectly understandable. I would use a tacky glue or some kind of white glue that dries very thick. You can use regular school white glue like Elmer's, which is great stuff, but it does tend to dry flat. Their formula is meant to be thin, just so it dries nice and thin. And that's great most of the time. This is one occasion where you really want a glue that dries nice and thick. So hot glue is tremendous for this. You could use anything you have on hand. I know they have colored hot glues and glittered hot glues. Those might be kind of nice, but nobody's going to see it. And nobody's going to see if you make a mistake. That's the nice thing about this project is, you cannot mess it up. It's not delicate, and nobody's going to know. And all the little bits, they're just, they're just going to add to character. And those little imperfections are what make things handmade. And I really like them. So pretend we went all the way around. Whether you want to use markers underneath or not, that's up to you. But when you finish that, you're going to end up with something that looks like this. And I don't know, I'm hoping you can see that, but I'm not really sure if you can. This is just hot glue circles all around this wooden frame. Okay? Can everybody see that? All right. When you're done with that, get yourself some aluminum. You know, if you were a little more professional about this than myself, you'd measure this out beforehand, but just eyeball it and tear it off. It's a little bit difficult to get it started. I don't know if you can see this. There you go. Don't let it stick to itself. That's the kiss of death. Just don't let it stick to itself. And stick it on. And see, all that texture just comes right through, and we're gonna hardly even start it. And then you know, you could be delicate about it if you want it, but it's really not necessary. You could use scissors and do little darts in here. You really don't have to. You can just push it down. And this stuff is meant to be super strong. It's hard to mess this up, which is why I love it. I mean, it just sticks. So let's cover this little edge too. Tear off another piece. Come on. Get up. There. It's being disagreeable when I'm on camera. I'm not having it. Okay. Stick that down. Don't overlap it too much, because if you overlap it, then you're going to have 2 layers of this foil, which is going to make it a little more difficult to, you know, just to get the texture and all the bumps and ridges and ripples. I did not do, this is shameful. If you were nice and neat, you'd make this into like hospital corners. I am not, so I just take that, and there's my secret. I just take the end of a Sharpie and then just whittle that down. I mean, you see where I'm going here? It's hard to do it because I've got the frame facing you instead of me, but you can make it perfectly smooth if you want to. It's just using the end of a dull instrument. If you have a bone folder, that's great, but my bone folder doesn't want to come out and play today. So I'm just using this. And I'm going to burnish. Burnish being the technical term, but rub is really what you're doing. And just go in and rub on all these little bits. Don't try to be precise about it. Just get them going. You're going to see in the next step, all these little bits and ridges are going to come out whether they like it or not. But you're going to do yourself a favor. Make the next step a little bit easier. If you can, excuse me, if you can get the party started, just go in there with a little tip. And then here's the fun part. Take a Sharpie and go inside that circle. And it's just following the outlines. It doesn't, I mean, the little ridge creates a barrier, so you really don't have the option of going outside. It takes some effort to jump that ridge right there. I don't know if that's obvious on camera, but I mean, this is a really easy thing to do. You know, people talk about coloring inside the lines. You're going to be coloring inside the lines whether you like it or not. So you just keep going. I don't have a particular pattern here. I think it looks nice when it's all kind of random and interesting. I just like to spread out the color. So, you know, there's 3-4 inches between each little dot. And then by the time you make your way around the frame, it kind of polka dots itself in a really nice, organic kind of a way. So nobody's going to know any different. Here's a slightly lighter color. It's a lighter green instead of the, here's like the more traditional green. I'm using the lighter one here. And then we could use the regular green right next to it. I like using similar colors right next to each other because they bring out what makes each color different. The tonal qualities of each color becomes really obvious. So like over here, I might do a green and a blue, and then maybe I'll do a turquoise. So that's like a halfway. I don't have a turquoise. This is kind of a turquoisey color. It's another variation on blue, but it has a little bit of green in it. You can go in there. Then, if you're really fancy, let's say we go back to our friend the green, you can layer up because these Sharpies are kind of transparent. I mean, they're a little bit, see? Can you see that? It's a really pretty color. That's like a blue-green, I don't even know what that's called. There's going to be like a jewel name for that, but it's really beautiful. Hot pink, my favorite. I love doing hot pink next to red. That's just, look at that. That's just beautiful. It doesn't get any better than that. Nope. Okay, so let's pretend we went all the way around. I'm going to do that later, but I know you guys have places to go. So I'm going to show you. I made this little one. this little picture frame. This is just for like a 4x6 kind of thing you get from, you know, the drugstore printouts. But how pretty is this? I mean, this is great. So after we're done, I'm going to put, you know, a photograph in there, but you could do a drawing or like a little quote or, you know, just about anything. It's just this really special little touch that, you know, nobody on earth is going to have anything like this. And it looks so interesting. From a distance, it looks like jewels, like you put rhinestones or gemstones on a frame, but it's just really pretty. So if you want to see that big one and see what comes out of it, stop by my website, auntpeaches.com. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. I hope to see you guys again.